Hello and welcome to Parent Night 2020. I'm David McGrath, Paragon's headmaster and founder, and I'm so excited to greet you and welcome you to our program tonight. Sit back and relax, get to know the teachers, and at the end of the show, we'll move over to a live webinar and answer any questions that you have left. Here we go.
Hello parents and welcome to Back to School Night. My name is Miss Bear. If you are here, it's because your students either 5th or 6th grade and I teach them English. 6th graders, I also teach social studies and study skills, or what we like to call drawbridge class. So a few things about me. This is my 6th year at Paragon. I do absolutely love my job and my community here. I'm excited about teaching 5th grade for the first time. Please, 5th grade parents, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me. I was born and raised in Austin, from the area, actually. Went to McCallum High School, Keeling, and Lamar for junior high. I went to Texas State to get my bachelor's, and then I did get my master's in children's literature at Roehampton University in London. These days, I have a 1-year-old who keeps me busy at home. Her name is Macy. My classroom expectations are basically the same for both online learning and in person. What I want my students to be are critical thinkers, hard workers, and positive citizens. So in everything that we do, I keep that in mind. We work a lot, obviously, on critical thinking and expanding our thinking. We talk a lot about growth mindset and grit. It comes to that hard work aspect, being a positive citizen, both in our classroom, but then also, especially for 6th grade, as we get into world cultures, we talk about the world community and how we can be positive citizens there. We will work a lot on writing in our English classes. We do grammar work, but then we also put that into context with larger projects, larger writing projects. We talk about the writer's process. And by the end of 6th grade, the goal is for them to be able to write a really strong 5-paragraph literary analysis essay or personal narrative essay, and I send them off to Miss Hanners in 7th and 8th grade, where she helps them hone in on their tone and style as a writer. So, we get the basics, the building blocks in 5th and 6th grade, and then they go and polish that up in 7th and 8th grade. For behavior consequences, again, same really for virtual and in person. I am very clear on my expectations with the students from the beginning, and I will give several verbal warnings before I do put it into Jupyter. I find that there aren't often huge issues that need to be addressed immediately. One of the biggest things in my classes, I want students to become self-advocates. So as much as possible, if there are questions, about assignments, but also just about grades, like if I didn't put something into Jupyter, or if they think they did something and it shows up as missing, there's no need to get upset and really worked up about it. And I will very willing to listen and very willing to help. So have them write to me as much as possible so that they can practice those self-advocacy skills. I know all children are in a different place with this. Some kids feel super comfortable right off the bat. Others need a little bit of support. So, one thing is sit down with them in front of the computer, help them word it and type it up. Also, CCing yourself, have them CC you on it. And I love keeping parents looped in on those conversations. Maybe as we get through more towards the middle and the end of the years, especially in 6th grade, the expectations grow, right? With the kids grow, the expectations grow, and they get higher and higher. So have them reach out to me. I do want them to be practicing those skills for themselves. In general, with remote learning, some things to think about. First of all, Google Classroom. I already made an entire separate presentation for this, and if you came to our webinar back in warm-up week, then you saw that presentation. If you haven't seen that, or you would like a copy of it, please reach out. It's a step-by-step tutorial on the basics of parents accessing Google Classroom. As a parent, how much am I involved with their schoolwork? And some of you may have kids that are ready to just take it and run with it and do all of the things on their own, and that's great. But please know that a lot of 5th and 6th graders do still need that support. And number one, it's totally normal for them to do that. And number two, it could also be that they're doing really well for a while, and then things back up and pile up, and then they need help getting out of that. The biggest thing you can do to help support them is learn how to look at their Google Classroom. So again, going through that tutorial, logging in with their school account and being able to view things and just keeping them accountable for each of their assignments and their Zoom lessons is going to be the most helpful thing, just keeping them accountable. And then finally, the first 2 weeks of remote learning have gone great. I've so loved seeing the kids every day. But I think as I check in on them, doing those social and emotional check-ins, it is definitely taking a toll being on our computers all day. It's exhausting. One of the things I have decided is I do want to try as much as I can to get us off of our computers, even if our Zoom is on and we're doing something that is not on the computer. So taking notes, reading, especially the independent reading that I'll talk about in a second, any of those things that we can do offline, I am going to try my best to do that. I would like for the kids to be reading outside of our school reading, either 60 minutes a week or 75 minutes a week, which breaks down to less than 15 minutes a day, which is actually less than what the recommended numbers are. So hopefully we can all make this happen. I do want this independent reading to be done in a physical book. I want our eyes to get off the screen. Normally, I would say Kindles are okay for this, but because we are all on the computer all the time, I want to say that we're going to be off of our screens during this time. So we will have time in class for silent sustained reading. And if we do 20 minutes in class that day, that will count towards their weekly goal. But when they're not in class and they are keeping track of that off of my class, then they will need your help to keep them accountable. So check in with them. Like, did you read today? When did you read today? What are you reading? Are you enjoying reading? Just asking them about their reading is really going to help me as well. And reach out to me if your kid is struggling with this, if you need help finding a book, finding the right book. I don't have honestly, any opinions about what they are reading for independent reading. It can be whatever they are interested in. It can be novels, it can be nonfiction. In class, we will be reading really challenging texts and we'll be working on those reading comprehension skills. I just need them practicing outside of that as well. And also, like I said, a good way to unplug. We're in this together. And this year especially, we're all in this together. We're all figuring out the best way to make this work while we have to be virtual. I'm positive that we can do this. Again, reach out if you have questions or concerns. I'm here to help you guys. All right, thanks. Look forward to talking to you guys later.
Hi, everyone. I am Coach Jackie, and I am the Director of Physical Education at Paragon for kinder through 8th grades. This is my 6th year teaching at Paragon, and I also get to coach team sports, including volleyball, basketball, and track and field. But I do love being at Paragon. I do love being a PE teacher because I get to help kids move and have fun while doing it. So in 6th through 8th grade, currently, we are working to develop and improve our students' body awareness by doing a variety of workouts that provide functional movements to improve mobility, stability, and foundational strength. Each PE Zoom has a different focus so that we can challenge our students to become aware or more aware of their bodies and push themselves to work a little bit harder to improve each exercise and movement that we do. When we get back to teaching in person, we are really hoping to be able to provide our students with a lot more activities. And also hoping to be able to work with the Austin Recreation Department to give our students an opportunity to do some indoor rock climbing, cycling, and archery. We had a lot of fun doing those last year, so we're really looking forward to hopefully doing that again this year. If you do need to get in touch with me, you can reach me via email. If you have any questions or concerns, reach out. I'm always available and would love to chat and hopefully help you out. That's it. Have a great day.
I'm Bob Cash. I teach 5th graders at Paragon Math and Social Studies. And I want to spend a few minutes giving you some idea how I think and what I want to accomplish this year. First, I want to talk about some keys to success that I talked to the students about. First, listening and focus and following directions are very important. And especially this time of year, it's a bit of a struggle. And so we work on that quite a bit and they improve. We talk about discipline, self-control, being sucked in by peer pressure. Right now, being remote, that's not as much of an issue necessarily. The peer pressure isn't. Responsibility, want them, and accountability. We want them to take care of their work and get it turned in, admit that they make mistakes, and ask questions. That's part of the learning process. Perseverance is also important. And we want them, when things get tough or they're tired, to keep going and not give in. And they grow from that and gain strength from that. And finally, we talk about respect quite a bit. We'll do more of this when we're in class, but good manners and having a giving attitude. I also want to talk about what's some called growth mindset. It's that struggle is good and that making mistakes is fine. And that by doing both of those, we grow. Our brain strengthens and we gain confidence in a sense. We don't want them to suffer immensely, but some struggle is good. And sometimes stepping back and letting them struggle and realizing that their decisions, did they choose to listen? Are they following directions? Are they asking questions? And those decisions that they make impact things and cause that struggle sometimes to be worse than it should be. And talking to them doesn't necessarily get the message across. They've got to experience the struggle. And so it's good. And that ties into the growth mindset. I want to change gears a little bit here and talk about a question that I get asked quite a bit. And it's, how much should I help my son or daughter? And that's a great question. And it varies with every student. One, we want to try to model what we want the kids to do, showing them, you work in a quiet place, hopefully. It's not surrounded by a bunch of commotion. How do you set your papers up? How do you study? A lot of kids say, I ask them, do they study? And they said, yes. Well, what does that mean? Well, I just flipped through the pages. I looked at it. Well, that's not what studying is. In math, for example, it's reworking problems, monitoring them, making sure that they're doing what they say they're doing and what they're supposed to be doing. When we have confidence that they are doing this, and a lot of times that's what we use grades for. Grades reflect that sometimes. Then we can start to gradually back away, but we never move so far back that we just stop watching them, because sometimes they slip. Things happen in their lives and they need that assistance again. They need to be redirected again. There's no concrete answer for how much do you help, but modeling and then monitoring and then gradually stepping back is what we look at. Talk about academics for a little bit. The pace that I go is usually pretty quick, although with remote learning, I've slowed it down quite a bit. And I try to have depth in what I teach. Not that we go so fast that we just skim the surface. I want some depth and understanding. I also stress quality quite a bit. I don't want just any old thing handed in. It needs to be a good, solid effort that reflects understanding. And as with all the work, I want them to be accountable. I want them to do their work and get it done the right way. Before I talk about math and history, one thing when we start class, being on time, I give them this story about Vince Lombardi. It's called Lombardi time. And I say it's always 5 to 10 minutes ahead of whatever time zone you're in. So if the meeting starts at 8, you're there 5 or 10 minutes early. And unfortunately, some students show up right at our case 8:45 when class starts. By doing that, they sometimes miss comments that I've made to those kids that are there 5 or 10 minutes early. So being a little bit early is a good thing. And in life, it's a good thing. Let's talk about math. I'm big on computation. I want them to be able to compute accurately. We do this in different ways. Every day we do a Mad Minute where they have a math fact, addition math facts, subtraction math facts. They have 60 seconds to work a bunch of problems. And we try to develop speed and accuracy. We'll also work on multiplication and division problems, bigger ones, as we go through the year, developing a competency there where they can rely on the work that they're doing. We have a lot of units that we will go through, a lot of number concept units, that developing skills in different areas that will help us in algebra later on. We talk about fractions quite a bit. We'll hopefully get into some geometry and integers at the end of the year. In addition to the units in the computation, I want them to do word problems, to learn how to solve problems. And I do that through Math Olympiad. In a few weeks, we'll start getting a Math Olympiad problem every day. Eventually, they'll get quizzes and tests on these Math Olympiad problems. But in doing so, you're kind of taking all that computational and concept work and then applying it to a problem, sometimes real life problems. And it helps it make a connection there. There'll be other things that we talk about in math and work on in math, but right now it's kind of hard to say because of this remote learning and things are not quite at the same pace that they will be if we're back in the classroom. In social studies, we'll talk about American history and U.S. geography. We'll start with the Ice Age and work our way through the Civil War and history. And I want them, again, depth is important. I want them to learn about some of these people that have made America what it is and some of the interesting stories. We'll also study U.S. geography. I want them to know where places are and as it ties to history, historical events, and also fun things, places to go on a vacation. Okay, homework should probably last no more than 30 to 40 minutes a day. If it's lasting longer than that, there are probably some reasons. Maybe the students aren't listening closely in class. They're not asking questions, so they start their homework and they're confused, and that slows them down. Maybe their work environment's not the way it should be. But anyway, that's something that we will probably at the first conference talk about, and we will monitor throughout the year as the students get better at managing their time and asking questions and being accountable and responsible for their work. They get better. That long homework time period shrinks. The way I evaluate homework is that I basically check to see that it's complete. We'll check it every day in class. I'll give them the correct answers and answer any questions about it, but I'm just looking to see that it's done. Their number of grades come on quizzes and tests. If you ever have a question, every once in a while there's a question that pops up and mom and dad can't seem to give the student the answer that the student wants, so have the student call me, and I encourage them, let them call me. It teaches them responsibility. Don't hesitate to let them holler at me, help them. Last thing before I quit, this remote learning is unique, as we all know. And, before last spring, teachers are always talking about screen time and limiting it. Well, now what are we doing? The kids are on the screen for hours a day. So I'm trying to limit the amount of time. If I have a 50-minute class, it's not keep them for 50 minutes. Now, there'll be days when I do, but try to keep it shorter. I've had questions on quizzes and tests. Can I get mom or dad to help me? And so my response to that was, do your mom and dad come into the classroom and help you on your quiz? And of course, you know what the answer to that is. And so they go, oh. So if it's a test or a quiz, I ask that you not help them. I don't answer questions in class on quizzes. I say, if you had a question, you should have asked it while we were learning the material, not when we're taking the test. And the last thing I want to mention is sending in assignments and tests. The students, it's interesting to watch them. They have all kinds of ways of taking photographs and uploading this stuff. I'm having some difficulty reading it. They'll cut part of the paper off, so I can't see some of the answers. Sometimes it's blurry, and I can't read it. And so I would ask that maybe you help them initially and show them the best way to get the work uploaded so that I can read it and see it. And then once you've shown them that, they're quick learners. They'll grasp it and be able to do that. But that would help me. All right. Well, that's it. And thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rama Srikantham. I'm also known as Mrs. S to your kiddos, and I am so very excited to be your child's science teacher this year. Here's a little bit of information about me. My background is in molecular biology and biotechnology. I earned a Bachelor of Science degree in cell and molecular bio from the University of California and a master's degree in biotech from Penn State. After that, I worked for 10 years as a DNA analyst for the Department of Public Safety here in Austin, and then switched gears to the teaching profession. It really didn't take long for me to fall completely in love with teaching and realize that this is very much my calling. Finding hands-on ways to make science understandable and enjoyable for students is so completely fulfilling and also so very fun. I always say that when I teach, I'm conveying information, but I'm also sharing my passion and enthusiasm for the field of science. That's why I strive to create as many authentic experiences as possible in my classes by incorporating several different science methods, as well as math and technology skills, and even communication. It turns out this is going to be my 9th year teaching, and it's been a wonderful journey so far. At this point, I've been a science specialist for grades pre-K all the way to 5th grade. And it's given me a lot of perspective on how students develop their scientific thinking. In addition to teaching, I've also led and encouraged my fellow science teachers in best practices in science education, and In the past couple of years, I've also had the pleasure of serving as a mentor to college students at UT. The science classes at Paragon for grades 3 through 5 are what we call composite classes. This means that in a given year, they will cover several different disciplines within science, such as chemistry, earth and space science, physics, and biology, my personal favorite. Everything I teach is based on a set of national science teaching standards called the Next Generation Science Standards, or NGSS for short. These guidelines were developed around 2013 for teaching science, and they were established through a collaboration between administrators, practicing scientists, and science teachers too. So it was a big project to put these together. According to those standards, there seems to be an emphasis on different disciplines each year for grades 3 through 5. For example, the emphasis in 3rd grade is very clearly earth and space science, whereas in 4th grade, there's quite a bit more physics, and in 5th grade, there's more biology emphasis. I truly believe that all science disciplines are interconnected, though, so whenever I teach a new concept, I encourage students to find connections between old concepts and new concepts that we're learning. Our classes so far this year have been going really very well. And that's an accomplishment. This year is bringing forth its own unique challenges, but I believe that one of the most valuable things we can teach our children is to be persistent when faced with challenging situations. Your kiddos are impressive people who are learning a lot of tech very quickly, and are adapting and making their learning the best that it can be. All very, very impressive stuff to be completely proud of. Likewise, I'm also working hard to ensure that science can still be an engaging, rich learning experience. Our units of study are going to be about 2 to 3 weeks long in general, and the activities in each unit will be a mixture of labs, yay, activities which are short, research projects which will take some more time, and quizzes. My plan for online learning is to absolutely see your kiddos every day and touch base with them. Employ excellent learning resources for their learning, such as San Francisco's Exploratorium, and also to create many hands-on projects as possible to be done at home. Group work, collaborations, research projects, and Google Apps can also be taught online. I have never, ever been so thankful for the technology that we have today. Google Classroom, as you know by now, will be our main hub for communication. Even when we're back at school, I'll still be posting assignments and collecting them through Google Classroom. So please make sure you and your child get in the habit of checking it every day for assignments, materials that will help their learning, and optional activities. I did mention quizzes, and I wanted to tell you a little bit more about them for my class. I'll be giving short multiple choice assessments throughout the year. For the most part, they'll be multiple choice. Hopefully they won't be too stressful. That's not my goal with the quizzes. It's important that your kiddos use the given study guides to study, because those will have all of the factual content that is necessary to know for the quizzes. The questions themselves on the assessments will be a mix of straightforward, factual content, and those that ask for a bit more critical thinking, a little bit more of putting 2 and 2 together to figure something out. The quizzes will take place after each unit of study, and they'll allow me to keep better tabs on student learning, and also let me see whether I'm really reaching them with my teaching methods, whether what I'm doing is working in this online scenario. Another important information to know about me is that my classes don't tend to be homework heavy. Instead, I really do expect students to work hard and use their time efficiently in class. Therefore, any homework that they have will be more of the unfinished business variety, like stuff they didn't get to finish in class and they'll need to just finish up at home. Or they could even be readings, which will enhance their understanding of concepts from class. Okay, but enough about the classes for now. And on to family, which is so incredibly important. I have 2 kids of my own who are learning online right now. So I completely know firsthand the hard work that it's taking to manage your own schedules, your household, your kids' Zoom schedules, and their assignments. That's a lot to keep track of. I want you to know that I'm here for you. Just reach out to me by email with any questions or concerns, and I'll get back to you within 24 hours. I am convinced that distance learning is going to actually bring us closer together more than ever before. I look forward to meeting you all in person when it's absolutely safe to get back on campus. But, you know, whether we are in person or online, I am really so very excited to be teaching your kiddos. There is going to be so much fun and learning this year, and I'm excited to get started.
And now, from the comfort of his own home in Austin, Texas, it's music time with Mr.
Hello, Paragon parents. I'm Gabe Rothschild, or as the students know me, Mr. Gabe, and I am teaching music and providing music activities for pre-K through 5th grade this year. And if your student is in 2nd through 5th grade, I'll be meeting with them once a week on Zoom. Just to start out, a little bit about me. I have been working for Paragon since last school year. That was my first year, and we had a pretty successful first half of the year. We had a great talent show and seasonal winter show, and then we also did some great stuff, or at best as we were learning, on Zoom, and we're kind of continuing off of what we've learned from the end of last year for the beginning of this year. I studied film in college, and afterwards I went to Japan, where I taught English for a few years, and I got to work with a company starting an English Through Fun program, and I got to help them open up various schools and go around and train their staff and come up with new curriculum that involved music, art, activities, videos, all sorts of fun ways to learn English. Well, I met my wife in Japan. We came back to Texas, which is where I'm from. For a number of years we ran a food truck, and after that I really wanted to go back into education. So before I was working for Paragon, I worked for a few years as a Montessori teacher in the lower elementary classroom, teaching all subjects. And I really wanted to get back into just teaching music. So the past 2 years, I started just focusing on music. Besides Paragon, I teach around town at other schools, or I was, and I'm still doing it with various students through online platforms. So as I mentioned, I do play in a band around town or online around town right now called The Other Brothers. It's for kids, but I've also played for years in bands that are not for kids, and I've done a lot of sketch comedy, a lot of theater, any sort of performance, and I really enjoy writing. So let me talk a little bit about my approach to teaching music, especially with us online. I really want to make music fun. I always want to make it something accessible to children, and even if playing an instrument isn't your thing, I want you to be able to find your spot. Do you maybe want to write the words? Do you maybe have a good idea for a dance, a good idea for a rhythm or a melody? Maybe you don't want to sing, but you want to learn how to write a song. So speaking of which, writing a song is one of my biggest focuses. I really think it's important, no matter any age, to give children the ability and empower them to feel like they are taking part in something they like. I know I've heard all sorts of kids always making up little songs, making up little chants, and so I know that that's something that is a really good avenue to get kids into music. So let me talk a little bit about what I plan for this school year. If you have an older child, 2nd through 5th, that I'll be meeting with once a week, I'll be using the same video sometimes to say, hey, look at this video. Let's talk about the elements of the song. Let's talk about what is the rhythm for that song, what is the genre, and so on and so on. And that's kind of where we started this year, is we're breaking down the songs again and just making sure we're all on the same page using the same language. So what are the elements of music? And what are the elements of a song? And so how can we write our own song? And we've already started kicking ideas around. And for the 4th and 5th graders, I took a survey of who has what instruments at home and who has experience with those instruments, playing them, and who has experience with production things. Like some children I know are already used to using GarageBand or Final Cut or an app on their phone. So I want to work with them. My idea is that we're going to be able to record some things at home no matter what grade you're in. Maybe for the younger children, it's a cover. Maybe for the older children, it's something we're going to write together. Maybe for the older children, it's a bigger piece and they each play a small piece and I edited it all together. And for some of the other kids, maybe we're all going to play to me and then I'm going to edit together in a video for a finale. Last year, we had 2 talent shows, one that was in person and one that was virtual. And this year, I'm trying to ask kids we're going to do 5th grade first. It's going to be all 5th graders and then 4th graders. So we're going to have more regular talent shows and you can probably check those out on the Paragon Facebook or YouTube page and we'll be telling you when those are going to premiere. Okay, so how can you help your child succeed in music class or with music at home, especially while we're online? A lot of kids answered the survey. They said, I have this instrument, I have that instrument. But some kids say, I think I have this instrument, or I need this guitar to be strung up, or I need this keyboard dragged out of the closet. So first and foremost, making all the instruments available that you have at your house. Maybe it's a good time to string up that old guitar. Maybe it's a good time to strike up the family band. That's the second part I want to say is, I know there's a lot of musical families and musical children at Paragon, and I'm really excited for this year to build on what we started last year and try to get some great video stuff from home and keep the kids creative, keep the kids excited, and keep the kids singing and dancing. So with that, I'll say goodbye and I will talk to you soon.
Hello, parents. My name is Melissa Leip, and I am one of the math teachers at Paragon. I teach 3rd, 4th, and 6th grade math. I've been really lucky to get to know some of you already. Some of you I taught your kids last year in 3rd grade, and some of you I haven't gotten to meet yet, and I am really looking forward to the day that I actually can meet you face to face, maybe give you one of those elbow touches instead of a handshake. This year will be my 4th year teaching at Paragon, although it is my 11th year kind of in the teaching profession. During, those past years, I've done all sorts of different things. I started out as a substitute teacher, eventually moved into the world of special education. And there I was able to teach and reach students with multiple learning differences. Some were multiple grade levels below where they should have been. So that really gave me the opportunity to learn, how to reach students, how to teach students. Maybe, some of them, they just need that traditional way of being taught something. Some of them need to hear 4 different examples with a twist on how to teach it in order to learn it. So, I think that really helped me learn those different styles. Eventually, I landed for about 5 years as a 7th grade math teacher at, one of the public schools here in Austin. And I will admit, I loved it. I loved being there. I loved the people that I worked with. When I was approached by someone at Paragon to, come and possibly teach, 6th grade, which, I was comfortable with because I was teaching 7th. That's not too different. Then they said 3rd and 4th grade. And I was like, oh, pump those brakes. I don't know about that. Up until that point, I had only taught 7th grade. I'd only ever been in a middle school. Those were my people. I understand them. They understand me. I did what many of our Paragon kids do when they decide to come here is I shadowed. So I came and I saw some classes and I also taught some classes, got to know some of the kids, and got to see what Paragon was all about. And I have to tell you, I was floored. There were a couple key differences about, the school that I was currently at and what I saw at Paragon that really just blew me away and what ultimately, brought me here. And the first is that the classes were small. And I don't just mean the kids were little. I'm also little, so I'm not talking about that. The number of kids in a room where I was, on average, I had maybe 25 kids per class. Some of them were literally bursting at the seams with the max capacity of 36. 36, that's a lot. And here we have classes in the teens. I was like, what? There's only 12 kids? That's awesome. there was also just this obvious sense of community. Everyone seemed to know everyone else, and the administration knew all the kids' names. They knew who their parents were. They knew what vacation they had just come home from. Like, it was just, what is this bizarro land that I had landed in? Where I came from, administrators really only knew the kids if they were bad kids. And here, they just knew everyone. Where I was, I taught 150 kids, just me. And here at Paragon, there were 150 kids total. So, that was mind-boggling to me. And then the third, which is really huge and might have even been a deciding factor for you, is there was no STAR testing anywhere. I came and shadowed Paragon, I think it was April. And for those of you familiar, April is a pretty big time for state testing. And I just didn't see any of that. Literally, there were kids building catapults, and kids were just, it just wasn't what I had expected a school to look like, especially a private school. Kids were just here to learn for the sake of learning, because that's what we do. That's what we want. As I said, of course, I came to Paragon. It has been a great decision for me. Ultimately, this is a place I also plan to bring my own daughter when she comes of age. So that's a little bit about me as a teacher, a little bit more about me as just Melissa Light, the person. As I had mentioned earlier, I'm a huge choir nerd. I love music. I'm in a women's chorus here in Austin. Last year we started a glee club at Paragon. Unfortunately, with the shutdown, we never got to perform. So one day. I have a little girl named Lucy. She is my entire world. So that's just a little bit about myself. And now let's talk a little bit about the class. So one of Paragon's neatest accomplishments, in my opinion, is that by the time our students complete 8th grade, all of them have been given the opportunity to earn a high school algebra credit. Even more impressive on top of that, some of them already did that in 7th grade. So in 8th grade, they're working toward earning their second high school credit in geometry. So all that means for me as a 6th grade math teacher is that it's my job to make sure I prepare them and that I teach them all the prerequisites that they need in order to be successful when they enter algebra in 7th grade. That means we're going to be doing math at a somewhat accelerated rate. This isn't just a typical 6th grade math class. Not only are we learning 7th grade materials, but we are learning 8th grade topics as well. And that all kind of falls under the umbrella term of pre-algebra, since this is all of the things they need to know right before they get into algebra. If you are curious about what specific topics we'll be talking about, I do have a list that can be found on their class syllabus. But overall, if you have any questions for me, about the math topics or how to teach my kid math or anything like that, please feel free to shoot me an email at melissa@paragonprep.com. You can also send me an email through Jupiter, and that'll go straight to me as well. We are going to have a really good year. Whether that is like our virtual time right now, or whether we eventually get to see each other and do some face-to-face learning.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jacob White, and I am the Director of Athletics at Paragon. I'm originally from San Antonio, but I moved to Austin in 2010 to attend UT. I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Kinesiology and Health Education. A little bit of personal news for my family. My wife and I are expecting our first baby in January. So that's been, really exciting, really fun, preparing and getting ready for that. I'm going into my 8th year at Paragon, and I've really enjoyed my time at Paragon so far. A little bit about what makes being a coach so fun and special at Paragon is we get to work with the entire student body. When it comes to PE, we see every single grade for PE, and then athletics, we work with the 5th through 8th graders. In general, I have a love for sports and movement, and I want to help cultivate that passion for our kids as well. In addition to the Zoom workouts we've been doing, we're also looking forward to starting some virtual sport practices. Unfortunately, we're not able to do in-person practices, but we are looking forward to doing virtual practices, and those will have different start dates, so keep an eye out for more information on that. We're also looking forward to organizing some virtual competitions against other schools in the league we play in, the Austin Interprovincial League, or AIPL. And that will be in the fall. It will be some volleyball and football competitions. So keep an eye out for more information on that, but we think that'll be a really fun way to help our students still compete against those other students and athletes from other schools that they would normally compete against in person. So a general athletics calendar year at Paragon is full of different things that we can offer our students. The way we break down our age groups, we have our 5th and 6th graders playing together, and we call that our JV sports. And then we have our 7th and 8th graders who play together, and we refer to that as our varsity sport. In the fall, we have flag football, which is a co-ed sport, and then we also have volleyball. Something new that we were planning on doing this year was moving soccer from the spring to the fall. And that would have started right at the end of flag football and volleyball season. And then in the winter, we offer boys basketball and girls basketball. And something a little bit new we've done the last couple of years is also enter the ARPL swim meet. We have a bunch of swimmers at Paragon who swim almost every day for their club. And so it was really neat last year to have those swimmers come together and represent Paragon. And in the spring, our main sport, now that we have soccer moved to the fall, is track and field. And then we also offer tennis and golf. And with a little bit extra time in the spring, we're looking at offering a couple more sports or clubs that we could do, maybe archery or ultimate frisbee. And we're always looking for new ideas as long as we can fit them into our athletics calendar. Again, that's what a typical school year looks like for athletics at Paragon, but we're looking forward to still doing the best we can to offer different activities and sports for our kids to stay active. If you ever have any questions about athletics at Paragon, please feel free to reach out to me. The best way to contact me would be via email. You can also check out our Paragon Athletics website for more information. That's where we will usually house our schedules and other information regarding athletics. Thank you. Take care.
Hi, everyone. I'm Adam Holman, and welcome to my Back to School Night Ignite style talk for middle school science. In case you're not familiar with the Ignite format, there will be 20 slides starting with this one that advance automatically every 15 seconds, which adds up to 5 minutes of fun, and I'm sure some awkward pauses and moments, but that's just part of it. I've always wanted to do this format for Back to School Night, and it's 2020, so why not? I love teaching at Paragon because I get the autonomy and support to align my teaching with how students learn science. I also get to work with so many fantastic students. This is my second year at Paragon, and I'm excited to share a little bit about myself as well as my classroom tonight. So let's back up a little bit. Well, maybe not this much, but here I am. I'm my own middle school student in the late 1990s at Murkison Middle School, carrying my mallet bag around with me everywhere I went. I can't help but laugh when I look at this, and just know I know what it's like to be an awkward middle school boy. Helps me relate to my kids for sure. I then became a physics teacher at Anderson High School. Also got to teach some math when they needed me. I taught at Anderson for 6 years. I changed our physics curriculum from pure lecture-based to one that was more inquiry-focused. And after 6 years at Anderson, I became an assistant principal. But my current quarantine life looks more like this. This is my little dude, Ethan. He is 6 years old, and he is now a first grader at Paragon. And we have fun driving and doing all sorts of things together, where it's driving RC trucks, golf carts, or full-size cars. We just get to hang out and have fun. Professionally, I am a huge fan and I'm obsessed with learning. I co-founded EdCamp Austin. I'm a past president of the Austin Area Council of Teachers of Mathematics. I got my master's from UT in their principalship program, and I created and moderated AISD's first Twitter chat with Dr. Cruz. But tonight, I want to focus on the interactions that are taking place in my classroom. Regardless of whether we're online or in person, I want to focus on the interactions that are taking place in my classroom between me and my students and between my students with each other. So let's take a look at these 4 levels. The first here is passive. Passive is where you're receiving information. I think we can all relate to this pretty well. This looks like a lot of our education. I know it looks like a lot of mine I received growing up. This can be done through lectures or through teacher-led demonstrations where they're doing the talking. Next up is the active interactions, where students are doing something. That can be independent practice on balancing chemical equations, or doing traditional labs where you're modeling the phases of the moon with Oreo cookies. And I've definitely had way too many Oreos the last week. constructive interactions where students are producing new ideas to them. They're figuring stuff out. If you look at the picture on the top there, students are able to model and understand really what's happening as an object changes state. Really great to see their thinking visible. And finally, at the top here, we have the interactive interactions, where students are discussing and critiquing ideas with others. So not just between me as the teacher, but talking about their ideas with each other. And we've already done this a few times in class. I want to look at a few of those examples. It should come as no surprise that the constructive and interactive interactions do offer and provide more learning in science. So I found the curriculum and we do labs that will focus us on these constructive and interactive interactions routinely. And it's going to look different for your kids. But I want to let you know they're fearless. They've jumped right in. They have totally bought in. I'm so excited. I've loved every class so far. Too much to explain here in 15 seconds. So ask your kids what they've been doing. Hopefully they'll be able to tell you. Let's look a little more closely at their work. So these are some example investigation proposals that we've done the last week. This is a plan that students write down before they start collecting data, but they are designing their own investigations. They're going to collect their own data and analyze their own data as well. These are examples of whiteboards or arguments that students have made that consist of a claim, evidence, and justification. So students are making these artifacts to make their thinking visible rather than just getting a kind of a check or an X when they do an online kind of quiz or test. Students haven't really had a chance to give each other much feedback in their careers. I know I didn't get any, so I always remind students of the ground rules of critique. If we're doing peer review, I give examples of weak and strong feedback. So we scaffold these things to help students be able to do these higher level tasks. In summary, I want my kids to follow fewer procedures, design their own. I want to worry less if answers are right or wrong and think more about what does this show about their thinking. And I want to make sure that I focus on helping students learn from their mistakes instead of focusing on doing it right the first time. If you ever need to get in touch with me, the best way is definitely email. It is adam@paragonprep.com. I'm a big physics nerd. I'm always on my phone. My phone has all my emails. So the best time, honestly, is anytime. But why would you want to email me? Let's take a look at that. Any reason, honestly, maybe your student's confused. I'd rather have them email me though, see if you can do that. If you have questions about why I'm doing what I'm doing, don't worry, I'm not easily offended to ask away. If you want more work for your kid, I've got plenty of stuff I can send you, probably some Science Olympiad stuff. Then if you want a different science teacher, sorry, you're out of luck. So here's to a crazy year of science, whether we're online, in person, or a little bit of both. We're on the same path together. I can't wait to get back in person though. Thank you for listening. I'm looking forward to the Q&A here later.
Hi, I'm Emily Boltz, and I teach art to kindergarten through 8th grade, and I'm the Social and Emotional Learning Director for Paragon. I love making art personally. I'm also a musician, and of course, I love spending time with my family, my sweet husband, and my sweet little 5-month-old baby Magnolia. I also love spending time outside. We just recently moved to Bastrop, and I'm loving it. We're really close to the river and some great parks to spend time outside. And my husband and I also love gardening. So that's a lot of how I spend my time when I'm not at school. When I am at school with your students making art, there is so much that goes on, and there's so many reasons why I love it. So first, I think that creativity is just one of the most fundamental parts of being human. Some students come to my class and they say to me, I'm not creative, but I don't believe that. To me, what creativity really means is not taking something out of thin air or making up something out of nothing. Instead, creativity is taking what you already know and the resources that you have available and rearranging them in some sort of new or interesting way. So this year, sure, we're going to practice being creative. We're going to take what we know and use those creative problem-solving skills to make arts. Also, many students come to my class and they say, I'm not an artist. Well, being a good artist, being skilled at drawing or painting or sculpture or design are skills that anyone can learn at any point in life if you're taught the right steps and, of course, you practice. So I love teaching students those skills to help them gain confidence as artists. We each have our own unique perspective, depending on your own personal experience. Whatever you've gone through in life creates the lens that you see the world through. And I want to help students gain confidence and also feel free to express those ideas and perspectives. So that's something that I love to do over time, is help them become more comfortable creating in their own unique style, and also learning some foundational skills along the way. I also love teaching art because I really believe that no matter what my students decide to pursue later on in life, these are going to be useful skills. No matter what career path you choose, it's important to be able to communicate your ideas in a cohesive and coherent way, visually, and explain where those ideas come from and what those deeper meanings are to you. We can also learn empathy through art. By looking at other artists' work and seeing their perspective, seeing through their eyes, we can start to learn about the different struggles and strife that many different people and cultures have gone through over time. Through our social and emotional learning curriculum, I've created tons of tiny little mini lessons that I've made available to all of our teachers at Paragon so they can incorporate those and use those lessons when it's important to them. Those lessons are mostly based on mindfulness. Mindfulness is about being in the present moment, gaining self-awareness and the awareness of what's going on with other people around you, and finally, experiencing all of that without judgment. And really, it's about learning skills to ride the waves of emotions that we all surf in life. My hope is that through art this year, some of those social and emotional lessons are interwoven into the work that we do. We have a lot of projects and opportunities this year for self-reflection. One of those opportunities that you're going to see at home a lot is through the art journal. Each week, students are choosing a prompt from a list of about 50-something prompts. And what they may or may not have realized by now is that honestly, all of these prompts come from art therapy. These are all opportunities for them to do some personal exploration and have an opportunity in their art journals to process and express freely. So every Friday, students will be turning in one of those art journal entries based on that prompt. And I've already seen some really powerful work. Throughout the year, we are going to be learning about different artists, their unique perspectives, and these are going to be artists and artworks that we'll look at from all over the world. We'll analyze those works of art and then use that as a jumping point for something that we'll create at home. This year, while we're doing remote learning, our projects are going to stay really open-ended. It's going to be a prompt, an idea, something that students can really do some deep and critical thinking about, but then use any materials, any art mediums that they have at home available to them to create with. So there's no limit depending on what materials or resources that they have at home. Now, remote learning does create some unique challenges, but also some unique opportunities. Now, I know that when we go to art, one of the most exciting things is to see that studio and all of the cool materials and supplies that you'll get to use that you might not have at home. But we also have a unique opportunity to use what we have at home, to really get familiar and become more resourceful. I'm going to be honest, I am taking inspiration from Bob Ross and Fred Rogers, and I figure if they can do this virtually, well, so can I. At least I promise that I'll do my very best. If you ever have any questions, I'm always available. The best way to reach me is through email. I can't wait to work more with your students and to create together.
My name is Joey Silva, and I'm the Director of Student Development here at Paragon. This is my 6th year here at Paragon, and it looks like it's going to be the most challenging of them all from what the world is telling us, but we're happy that you guys have come here and returned. I got my degree from the University of Texas at Dallas in psychology, and I have my master's degree from the University of Texas Austin in educational psychology. Basically, what I do here at Paragon is monitor and track your students' academic, social, and emotional progression the time they're here at Paragon, intervening whenever necessary. I also run the Valor program here at Paragon. It's a support program if your student needs some kind of motivational help, some tutoring help, or they have some kind of learning difference. I also coordinate with outside agencies to make sure that your student is fully supported, and coordinate with the teachers to make sure they receive these goals and help support these goals from professionals. Throughout this school year, I work in groups through the Zoom classes with my Valor kids, and I also get on one-on-one with them, during their PE class sometimes or during study hall. I attend our staff meetings with the rest of the teachers and make sure they're passing on information from me if there's anything that I might be able to help with students that they might see struggling. In that case, I can reach out to you. But basically, I'm your one-stop shop if your kid needs support. When we get back to seeing each other, hopefully, which is sooner than later, I will be in and out of classes, in and out of study halls to make sure I kind of have my ear to the ground and see what's going on as far as students and need as I see within the classroom. If you have questions about this, I know it's a lot of information and you might have some, please come to me directly, as every case seems to be different. Rarely do we see a case where one solution is going to work for every single kid. So we're going to make sure that I have a learning plan and a goal plan that's designed unique for your student, and then making sure that their needs and your needs are being met. Again, if they're struggling with any of the subjects, I've taken most of these classes several times, but most of these teachers I've worked with, and I know what they expect of your kid, and I know what they expect of your student, and so I can be a good sounding board if you're ever unsure about something, about an assignment. Again, you can reach out to me if for anything. I thank you all for your time, and again, I look forward to meeting you and maybe talking to you here at the panel at the end of this presentation.
Hey everybody, it's Mark Hathaway here. I am the other owner of the school and business manager for Paragon Prep. If you get an email from the business office, that's me. So it's typically sending invoices for whatever it might be, whether it's tuition installments, or it might be, as we get back, if we get back into aftercare or Fast Food Fridays and things like that, those will come from me. And so if you ever have any questions about anything, just let me know and I can help you out with that or get your receipts. And the best way to do it is to email me at mark@paragonprep.com. I can't believe it, but this is our 24th year here. I fight with the title of Director of Fun with Miss Hay, but hey, if we have more people trying to direct fun, then that's good for us. I think as we get back to campus, that'll be our number one thing, is to make sure that we'll be learning in the classroom, but we'll also be having as much fun as we can together in a safe way at school. That's one of the things I love about our school. From the first year where we had 46 kids to now, we've gone through, we've been at different campuses and we've moved here, and I really like that our personality as a school is the same as it was that first year. Kind of quirky, kind of fun, but getting lots of stuff done. So anyways, looking forward to an interesting year, and so can't wait to meet all of you in person someday. So anyways, here's to a good 2021.
I am starting my 10th year at Paragon, and most of those years I have been a parent as well as an administrator here. And one thing that always surprises me every year is how much dedication and expertise and patience our staff has. This summer has been unlike any other. Our teachers have worked tirelessly, barely taking a break, to try to prepare for our virtual online start. So usually at this time in the parent night meeting, I will tell you about our teacher appreciation meals. We don't appreciate our teachers just one week in the spring. We actually come up with a plan to appreciate them every week. And so I'm going to take off my administrator hat and put on my parent hat and say, I know these teachers deserve every bit of anything we can give them after everything that they've done to prepare this fall, and everything that they're doing right now to prepare for a hybrid program as well as a return to campus. I get to see our staff meetings and just the level of professionalism and dedication that our teachers have is matched by no other. It is impressive, and I am so proud to have my children here learning with these fine educators. You will be receiving an email from me in the next few days explaining our Teacher Appreciation Meal program. You can do anything to help appreciate the teachers. You could drop off donuts or cookies. Since we are virtual, it might be better to just donate to our Teacher Appreciation Fund. And Mrs. Jones finds all of our favorite things and sends them to our house, which is amazing if you're working hard all week. And then on Friday, a bag of Tiff's treats arrives. It is absolutely mind-blowing how that can change the trajectory of a weekend. So we appreciate you parents. I, as an administrator, appreciate when you guys take care of our teachers and let them know how much we appreciate their dedication and their time that they have spent on our children and giving them the best education that they can. And with that, it brings us to the end of our program tonight. If you have any questions, anything that's been left that we haven't addressed, please stick around for the webinar and you can ask any of our teachers. You can also feel free to contact any of us. All of our information is available on our website at paragonprep.com. And have a great evening.